Dust settles, but you shouldn't. If you're in a position in your business where you feel like you're worthy of more, but you're too afraid or complacent to do anything about it, let's explore that topic a little bit. So in 2021, a year into running my business, I realized the true potential of where I could take it. I also realized though, just how unhappy I was beginning to get. I had low paying customers who didn't seem to appreciate the work I did, and they complained a lot and they constantly questioned the price and cancelled frequently on short notice, which was super frustrating. And I felt like I was never really in a position of power in sales talks. And like every time I'd say my price, I got hit with is your rate negotiable? Like, no. I started doing more and more ad hoc services as a result. Like I was doing things like oven cleaning, and if anyone asked, oh yeah, I'll clean your windows or your blinds or your couch or whatever, no worries. I'll clean the litter box, sure. Whatever you need, I'll do it. I hadn't set clear expectations for myself, and I certainly didn't have any boundaries either. So this led me to have a business that I wasn't entirely happy with, but I had come to kind of just settle for it. Like, sure, I could have kept going down that path and made okay money, but like, at what expense? The money wasn't crazy, and it certainly wasn't worth my sanity. So clearly, some way, something had to change. And I think that's a big part of the business where a lot of people experience the most discontentment, is the pricing, is how much money you make. I was in that exact position too. And frankly, every other cleaning business owner I know has been there as well. You may be there right now. And so I hope this message kind of speaks to you and resonates with you a bit and gives you that sense of encouragement and reassurance, and also that urgency as well to go out and do something and change the position that you're in now, because you are the catalyst for what your business can do. If you want to change your business, great news, you are the person who can do that. I love this quote. It's, how does it go again? They say, whether you say you can or you can't, you're right. So instead of saying, I can't increase my prices, I can't do this, I can't do that because of XYZ, just say you can. Just say, how can I do this, right? It's a big part of the business where a lot of people are unhappy, and we're not in business to be unhappy. We're actually in business to make money. So instead of settling for mediocre pay and poor service deliverables that you're not happy with, maybe it's time to step out of your comfort zone and restructure your offer a little bit. Side note, if you can hear my washing machine in the background, I sincerely apologize. I didn't realize how loud my washing machine was until I started recording. Like as soon as I hit that red button, it just becomes the loudest thing on the planet. It's like a spaceship taking off. So anyway, where were we? Money, making more money. Okay. Let's face it, we are in business for money. But not only that, money has a knock-on effect. So a lot of the other issues we face every day in the business, it creates a vicious cycle, and it all comes back to price. Like you charge low prices, you attract low quality customers, you deliver a mediocre service because your margins are so slim that you can't invest in better equipment and practices and learning. So despite the low price point, the customers of that caliber actually have disproportionately high expectations, and they complain, and the wheel keeps turning. Like, I'm sure you've experienced this. I think it's a rite of passage for everyone that goes into a cleaning business. You're going to start low. You're not going to be as confident in your ability. You probably don't have much experience. So you're like, okay, I'll charge less than the market rate, and that way I can actually get customers. But then you find, the customers at $30 an hour actually don't even like the stuff I do for them, and I go above and beyond for them. So what's going on? So then you're in this position where, I'm charging $30 an hour, and I'm doing everything I can, and I can't make these people happy. How on earth would I be able to double or even triple my price and make people happy at that rate? You know what I mean? It's like, it starts you off on the wrong foot, and it puts you in this position where it's like debilitating the things that it teaches you, and it teaches you all the wrong things, and it all starts with low pricing. So anyway, off on a bit of a tangent there, but let's get back on track. So when we increase the amount of money we're able to make, we deal with high quality customers. So when we charge more, we deal with high quality customers, more affluent people that are usually just nicer and more pleasant to deal with. We deliver a better quality service because we've got the money to invest in the deliverable. We're perceived to be of a higher class, a higher caliber, and a lot of the fears and frustrations that we have that are associated with price are eliminated as a byproduct because we're making more money because we worked from the ground up. Okay. So to create an effective price increase, you have to do a couple of things. Number one, you have to increase the amount of value you provide. Simple as that, or at the very least, increase the perceived value that you provide. because you don't actually have to do more. You can just make it look like you do more or make it feel like you do more. You can do the exact same thing that you already do, but repackage it and position it in a fancier way, and people will naturally want to pay more for it. Number 2, you want to change the name of the service or the offer so that there's no association with the legacy service. And I'll give you an anecdote from my own personal experience in doing this, which ties into the next thing as well. And so that brings us to number 3. You need to offer the yes or yes clause. So instead of saying, due to changing circumstances, blah, 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 your new price is $300. Is this okay with you? That's a yes or no question. Instead, you say, due to increasing running costs and changing market dynamics, we're reshaping the way we do business. We've created a new cleaning service range, which will change from the existing one. And if you'd like to remain at the current price point you're already on, we can simply knock off a few tasks or rooms off the checklist to make it more economically viable for us. If you'd like our new 101 point cleaning checklist, which includes XYZ that isn't in your current cleaning plan, then for an extra $45 a fortnight, you can have all of this included too. And the extra things might not take much more time or effort or money on your part, but has a high perceived value to the customer. So example, we'll clean your alfresco sliding doors inside and out in every clean. Realistically, this is a task that'll take maybe an extra 5 minutes, but you can easily add on an extra $10 to $15 for it. So that increases your average dollar per minute charge if we're looking at pricing on a micro level. And I did this when I had a big pricing shift in my business. I went from whatever you want, we'll do kind of service and transition to the 101 point cleaning checklist that we offer now. And that price increase was a whopping 40 or 50% in many cases with our customers. But to the customer, the perceived value of the new service that we offer is actually much higher due to how we positioned it. And so what did I change? Well, I just added in some extras like dusting skirting boards and wall hangings and ceiling fans, a couple of windows here and there. And you may already do some of these things. I wasn't, so that's why I chose that. But you can easily find stuff that you're not doing now that you could easily add in with, not much extra time on your part or money or energy. And you can add that in, and that's a high perceived value. And you can also make some of the invisible visible. And by that, I mean things I was already doing anyway that the customer probably wouldn't have picked up on, like cleaning soap dispensers and toothbrush holders and towel racks. I was doing that anyway, but in this new offer, in this new service structure, I actually make the invisible part of the service visible. So I say, now you'll also get XYZ, you'll also get the towel racks cleaned, things like the soap dispensers will get cleaned, all the soap bottles and shampoo bottles and the electric toothbrush holder, all of this is going to get cleaned as well. And your cost is only going to go up by X amount of dollars. And to the customer, it's like, wow, I'm getting all of this extra stuff for a very, very marginal increase. It's like, that's pretty good. And that's generally the kind of response that you'll get. Most of your customers will be completely fine. No one's going to bat an eye. You're going to have those low quality customers that you didn't want to have anyway, and they didn't really pay you much money and they weren't that profitable anyway. So you're more than happy to let them go. And the good thing about this is, if you increase your prices by 10%, you can afford to lose 10% of your customers. So, and it opens up room in your schedule for you to add in more high quality customers that are higher paying and going to churn less and complain less and all this other stuff. So it opens up that virtuous cycle like we talked about and gets you out of the vicious cycle. And you can't just do price increases for the sake of doing a price increase, which is why those 3 tips are really, really powerful. And there's a lot of other things you can do, but fundamentally, if you do those 3 things, if you just increase the amount of value that you provide or the perceived value, if you change the name of your service or offer or just restructure it in general or provide more options and you position the main service that you want as the middle offer, because in tests and in psychology, most people go for the middle offer. Like if there's a small, medium, large, most people go for the medium because it seems like the most economically viable and they get the most value there. And that is just tested. That is tried and tested. That's not speculation. That is just a fact. That is analytics and data, and you can't argue with that. So yeah, you can increase the amount of value you provide or the perceived value. You can change the name of the service or the offer or restructure it in general. And you can offer the yes or yes clause, which is the most important part. And without that, it doesn't really work as effectively, because if you give the question to someone and you pose it in a way where they can say no and they feel like they're getting the worst end of the bargain, they're going to say no, and they're going to walk the other way and find someone cheaper that's more aligned with their values, which is like they just want to pay a low price. They're not really thinking about all the other stuff that comes with the service. And so you're going to lose that customer. But if you position it as a yes or yes question, then it's much more advantageous to you. And so that's why you want to be using these strategies and not just do a price increase for the sake of increasing your price and making more money, because that's what most people are afraid of doing. And you should be afraid of that, because you will lose the majority of your customers if you do that, if you don't have a ton of goodwill built up. And, goodwill is only going to get you so far. I have spoken to a lot of people who are like, I had great relationships with my customers. They would get me things on my birthday. They'd get me gifts at Christmas. We texted all the time. And then as soon as I increased my price by just like 15, 20%, they were gone. They said that was enough. I can't justify paying this expense for cleaning. And that was the end of it. So like, you can't just increase the price and have nothing else come with it. You do need to increase the perceived value, but luckily it's not that hard to do. You can do it in a way where it's actually a lot more beneficial to you. You can actually make a lot more money per hour, but the customer, as the purchaser of the service, still feels fulfilled, and they feel like they're getting a reciprocal amount of value to what you're getting as the service provider. And yes, if you haven't done a big price increase before, it is scary. I was very scared when I did it, and I am not someone who had a family and bills to pay and mouths to feed. So even for me, it was scary. I can't imagine what it's like when you have a lot riding on this. So for that reason, you want to make this count. You want to make sure you do it right. And so use those strategies, use those tips, and really think about how you can restructure your current offer, restructure the pricing model, slap a new name on it, put a new framework around it, introduce a yes or yes clause to all of your existing customers that you want to increase the price on, so they're not just getting the raw end of the deal. And ultimately, you're left with better customers who appreciate the work you do more, because you're able to do better work because you've got more money coming in, and you're more fulfilled as the business owner. And as a byproduct of you making more money and increasing your prices, a lot of your other problems and frustrations and issues will just magically disappear, because as vain as it is, it all really does tie back to money. Money doesn't buy you happiness, but it sure is an accelerator, isn't it? Like if you're unhappy and you're not making much money, you're going to get even more unhappy. And even if you are unhappy and you start making a lot of money, all of a sudden, you're just going to become unhappy faster. So the system needs to change. The whole thing needs to change in general. So don't settle. If you feel like you're worth more, first of all, you are. But second of all, act on that. Don't just let that sit in the back of your mind and fester. You actually want to put that into action. Be the catalyst for your own success and your own change. If you're struggling with price, if you want to do a price increase but you're scared, use those 3 strategies. Remember, just increase the perceived value, change the name of the service or restructure the service or create a new service offering. And 3, give the yes or yes clause. That is the most powerful tip I can give. It's something that was passed down to me by Mal Emery, my old business mentor. It really is a game changer, and it just shifts the whole perspective in a sales environment. So as always, hope you found this insightful and valuable in your business journey. But please don't listen to it just to listen to it. Take action, put this into effect, try something, or at least take something away that you can implement into some area of your business or your life. It doesn't have to be specifically with a price increase, but a lot of the fundamental tips and strategies and frameworks I share are directly transferable to other things. So whatever you've taken away from this episode, I hope that you can implement it. I hope you can take action, because that is the most important thing. With that being said, I hope you have a wonderful morning, day, or night. I know I've said this before, but I'm going to get guests on the podcast soon. I'm still working on it. It's a lot tougher than I thought it'd be, but we're getting there. I'm hopefully going to have a guest on the podcast next week or the week after, and that guest may or may not be Mrs. Muscle. So that's going to be an absolute riot. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you loved this episode as much as I loved making it for you, please drop me a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you're listening to this. Just tab out of this or go into your phone, look at whatever platform you're listening on, just tap on the podcast name, and at the top somewhere or at the bottom, you should see a star that you can hit and leave a review. And if you want to leave a bad review, go ahead, because I am open to all forms of feedback. I want to improve this podcast as much as I can, but I'd also like to get some good reviews, because this helps push it out to other cleaning business owners and other entrepreneurs that may benefit from this as well. And remember, dust settles, but you should not. So take action, take care, and I'll speak to you again very soon.